Let me just say up front, I'm no fan of Martin Gruenberg or the powers that be in the U.S., but this is ridiculous. FDIC Chair Martin Gruenberg will resign following a scathing investigation that detailed a toxic workplace. Okay. Because remember, the first sentence in the story said sexual harassment, right? So I'm expecting to see some really juicy dope on Gruenberg here, right? Are you ready? Let's see what this guy did. What did he do? Was it like Pee Wee Herman? Let's look. Oh, no. It documented several instances where Gruenberg lashed out at his subordinates, particularly when being delivered bad news or conveyed views with which he disagrees. The sexual harassment charge, that's gone gone in the wind. It's gone. Instead, Gruenberg lashed out. That's what your 500 witness interview program came up with. He lashed out at people.
Right.
Holy shit. We got to get rid of this guy.
The person who's saying he's lashed out may be a snowflake, right?
Of course.
Right. So it wouldn't be
probably is.
Right. It wouldn't be lashed out as John Titus would define lashed out.
If what he did to merit lashed out, I'd be in a firing line.
Right.
Okay. It's like John Titus killed people at the firm. He ate them in his office. He bit their jugular.
Right.
That's pathetic. That's absolutely pathetic.
It is pathetic.
It worries me. Like, why are people hell bent on getting rid of Gruenberg?
This is very simple because, this is Washington talk. This article is Washington talk. And here's my translation of the Washington talk. They want to consolidate the banking system, which means they got to run it. Okay. And to run it the way they ran SVB and use the fast payment systems to run banks and consolidate at the speed they may want to do it, they have to break a lot of laws. So you need the New York Fed member banks free to break a lot of laws. And that means they need somebody in at the FDIC who's going to play ball. They need tight coordination between the New York Fed and the Board of Governors and the head of the FDIC and the Secretary of Treasury. And they need somebody who's going to play ball, and this guy's got to move out. He's been there for 13 years. They're going into a new phase, and they need somebody who can lead that phase.
Or they need somebody not to play ball. In other words, the situation right now is Gruenberg's resigned, but he's still there. So let's say that the FDIC does X, Y, or Z, something really, really bad. Well, you can't really blame Gruenberg. He's on his way out, and you can't blame the next person because they're not in yet.
Right.
You see the problem here?
Right. Well, but it makes it very easy to get the FDIC to do whatever you want.
It makes it very easy to get the FDIC to do what you want. What did Martin Gruenberg say he wouldn't do? That's the real reason he's not there anymore.
Right. Right. So the FDIC is going to be run by the Secretary of Treasury and the Fed. And it's going to do whatever it's told to do. Right.
Yes. And we're going to see another example of that in another story.
Right.
Of the Fed is stepping up its jurisdiction that it normally doesn't have. Now it's stepping on the FDIC's toes. There's no question on my mind. This is the power play by the Fed. No doubt whatsoever.
But let me tell you the problem the Fed has. The Fed has said it needs authorizing legislation for CBDC.
Yes.
To get that, it first needs to consolidate the banks or put the banks in a squeeze so that they don't fight the Fed on CBDC. So they need to get that legislation. They can't get that legislation unless they've got the banks, where they want them and in a corner and doing what they want, and the head of the FDIC supporting them. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you something else about this story. People who might be in a position to be the head of the FDIC they're going to ask around, like, what do you know about Martin Gruenberg? What happened with that? I heard there was some sexual harassment there, and they're going to get a report back say that guy was squeaky clean. He was Mr. Clean, and they got rid of him, and they tarred and feathered him. And sentence 1 of the CNN article was sexual harassment when there wasn't even the first trace of that, and they got him out. So how are you going to fare when they start digging under your dirty laundry?
The reason Democrats can't come up with an acceptable replacement of Biden is nobody wants to step into the box. Right.
Nobody wants to step into the box.
Why would you want to be the patsy?
There's a big void of leadership, and we're going to pick up that theme in another story later on. There's kind of this void. There's a lot of uncertainty now for a lot of miscreants to step into that void.